Hi Trevor, you asked for a walk round on the Capri, seemed only rude not to. We decoded the information off the VIN tag. She was built March 1976. She was originally diamond white, which would confirm because I took some paint off the bonnet. She was a 2.8 V6 automatic car with a 309 rear diff and some weird trim package, which I don't really worry too much about. We'll go a quick round underneath. From valance, obviously took a bit of a beating over the years. It's not too badly rusted, but I think it's too badly bent to really consider reusing that. We'll go around the top in a minute. Underneath, actual chassis rails at the front, albeit it's a little bit massaged in a few places. Seem pretty good. Somebody's tried to replace this floor part of the panel there and here. I would have to say badly. Not done very well at all. Highly likely we're probably going to take the outer sills off and see what damage we've got anywhere else. Just, if nothing else, just replace them just to give us access to underneath and see how bad they are. Yet again, chassis rail this side's a little bit massaged here. We can probably replace this part, but yet again, this whole section kind of here, the floor part has been replaced, but it doesn't match. It's just a piece of tin. I can see right through it. It's, yeah, it needs redoing. So that's part. The bulkhead itself looks pretty good. The drip box, whatever you want to call it, I'm not quite sure what the hell is in there. The heater return, that's in reasonably good condition. The inner fenders, obviously they go in one place, which if you know Capri's well, there's a reinforcing, let's have a look, see. There's a reinforcing plate sort of put on the inside of the fender well of the side of the inner fender or inner wing, where that two plates go together. They don't seal it well enough and it just rots out. So the front part of the inner wings, here we go here. They just rot out because there's two skins together and it rots through. That's about the worst part of it, to be totally honest. Go through the rest of the underneath. Floor's pretty good. Rear end of the chassis rail here looks pretty good. Not quite sure what all this kind of stuff is here. Yet again, we'll probably have to take this plate off to see what damage is behind that, because it's what's behind it I think is more concerning. That's probably what I can see on the outside. Oh, that does seem to be a profile there. Maybe, I don't know. We'll soda blast or sandblast all the underneath anyway, just to be sure. The over chassis that goes over the top is pretty good on both sides, albeit this piece here, there is rot here. So we'll probably have to replace the tail end of the chassis legs if we keep the chassis legs. It obviously has the leaf spring back at the moment, but we'll end up, if we keep the live axle, then we're going to 4 or 5 or 6 link it. But we'll have the 4 trailing links and either a panhard or a Watts linkage in the back here. So we won't end up having the leaf springs anyway. So we'll bring the structure forward. Yeah, rear valance isn't too bad. Few little dings. It's got some filler here. The worst part of the outside of the bodywork is actually this corner here. This corner of the fender, wing, is kind of, it looks like it's fillered and God knows whatever else. We do have a replacement panel. It's not new, but the back end shape here, which is where it's dented on that one, is perfectly okay. So we can stitch that, take that out and stitch that into that far corner. The X Pack will cover a multitude of sins. I think the X Pack ends kind of really much on the edge, so we'll end up taking out all of this rot and then we'll replace it on the inside. I don't have to be perfectly shaped on this quite so much. Now you can see somebody's already put a sort of patch panel in here, but we'll take all of that. There's some surface rust on the sill here. Most of that wing will end up being cut out, which rotten anyway. We'll patch back in what needs to be, but then the X Pack will cover everything else. This wheel arch technically will be taken out anyway and lifted up, so it kind of tubs it. so we can put wider wheels on anyway, to fill the X Pack arch. So yes, there's another patch panel been put on here. I think they've virtually cut it off there. It's literally a single skin. It's not even, yeah, it's just not very well put on. So that'll come off. The back of the wing there is kind of rusty. I think somebody's actually painted the Rostyle wheels and put new tyres on. So strangely, it has really nicely done wheels and new tyres, which is just funny. And 7.5 7013s, which, yeah, it's a long time since I've had to look at one of those. But the underneath is pretty solid, to be honest. I was quite happy, you know, obviously there's some repair patches I've got to do here. So, you know, we'll get 2 front floor skins and go from there. But actually, it's a hell of a lot better than it could be. Right, just give me 2 seconds and I shall lower it down so we can see what we're doing. Bonnet does actually shut nicely. Now it's been put on. There wasn't any, the bonnet wasn't attached when I got it, and there wasn't any of the studded brackets for the bonnet. I just wanted to put it on so it doesn't kicking around. Now there was some surface rust here, and there's a dent here, and something's been dented in there. Now I pushed this dent back out, but it still needs a bit of massaging. This dent I haven't pushed out because there's any skin behind it, but somebody took the paint off of here to try and do something with it and hadn't really covered it up with anything that was sealed. It was just primer, so because the rust went through. So I literally had a DA on my kit car yesterday, and just for a laugh I came over here with an 80 grit DA and went through it and was surprised to find how good the condition of the steel is underneath the paint. Now you can see the original diamond white colour, which was here, and then obviously it's gone to somebody's painted some grey colour at some point. It's got like a weird mask over of some primer at the moment. Parts of it have been blasted. I'm not sure exactly how much, but if you look at the state of some of the Mark IIIs in Britain, this is a 76 Mark II. The headlamp pods are amazingly in good condition. This top piece here, amazingly in good condition. My old Mark III that I had in Britain, this rotted out. It's strange. This corner of the wing's gone here as well, so we massage that somehow. But yet again, I'll do the full X Pack front wing, so the front wings will be gone anyway. I was considering a bonnet, but to be honest, this bonnet's in so good a condition, it'd be rude not to use it. I'll probably infill the lip here and just convert it to a Mark III. And go over it. Yes, we'll have to massage this out. So I've got to get a back hammer on that. So right, if we somewhere in here, catch. There you go. We come up. Oh, I don't have my bonnet stay. Where's the bonnet stay? Eeny, meeny, miny. Where the hell is the bonnet stay? Okay. Here we go. Good old piece of wood. There we go. That'll do. Okay. It's just. Right, there we go. Even the underneath of this bonnet is in amazingly good condition for 45 years. It's a Mark II bonnet, so realistically, even if it was an aftermarket bonnet, I don't know how the hell it's still in that good a condition. But anyway, yeah, so we'll probably keep the steel bonnet. Yet again, so this is the front of those inner fenders. They are pretty much just, it's where the double skin is behind it, it's just rotted through. It looks worse on these pieces here, you can just see it. So those will have to be replaced. We'll probably end up taking this Mark II lower valance off anyway. Tempted to put a fiberglass one on, but to be honest, it kind of attaches here, and that would kind of make this a little flexible. So it might be best to fit a Mark III steel front valance. When I order the X Pack kit, we'll order a few steel panels as well, get it shipped all over. But the front panels itself, it's just yeah, well, the battery tray's got to come out, the rad support's got to come out, because obviously we have a, oh well, yeah, this is the LC9. Basically it's an LS block. It's a Suburban, not so much on the trucks but more the SUVs. This has the aluminium block. It's basically a 5.3 version of the LS1, slightly smaller valves than the head. Has 310 horsepower stock with all the truck crap on it. Delete all that. It's an easy cam swap to 400 horsepower, which is plenty enough for the Capri, even with these heads as they are. But if you actually swap to there's a CNC ported profile head which uses those castings, and we can bump it up to sort of 500 horsepower. That's just, you know, just fuel injected 500, nothing fancy. So that's shows the flexibility of this. It'll be a lumpy cam, but guess what? I kind of like them. Yeah, the fuse box area, and there's a little bit of telltale rust on the inner wing at the top there. So the wings will come off, so I'll end up repairing whatever here. But the actual strut tops are surprisingly in good condition. The only rust is a little bit of surface, and that was because there was a cable there. I really can't look at that there. Like, there's no rust there whatsoever. You know, I realistically lucked out no end when I found this shell. Well, actually, Gareth found it for me and told me about it. But, you know, apart from this rust at the front here, which, you know, I would expect more from a 1976 car, but the engine bay is in really, really good condition. For what I would consider, you know, I was just amazed how good it is. So, anyway, we'll shut the bonnet. There you go. But yeah, my Mark IIIs are worse than that in Britain. So this wing's going to go anyway. So we'll have the complete fiberglass front X Pack wing anyway. So the whole wing will be replaced. Yeah, very 70s door mirror, eh? Yeah. Unfortunately, the windscreen's got a crack in it, which is a damn shame. Trying to get a windscreen is going to be fun. Doors, yet again, there's some sill and muck in here, but so we'll take the outer sill off to see what's behind it. We'll replace those. Even the doors are. There's no slap in the hinges. Inside is full of parts and a mess at the moment. I do have the dash, of course it's Mark II, so it has the old 1000, 2000 sort of rev counter, not the 10, 20, 30. We do have a virtually complete interior. It has front seats that have been changed. The rear seats have been trimmed with something, unless it came with the red and black from standard, I don't know. Roof, another really good point about it. It seems really straight. I haven't found any dings or dents or anything in it at all. See it across the front now. Glass, window winders, all that. The only things that I'm kind of missing are these trim pieces around here, and they're both in their boxes, but they were both bust. So I need some of those. Rust checked in 1999. No idea. Has all the trim pieces around the door as well. In fact, there's even extra in the boot. There's actually an extra glove box and an extra centre under dash piece. The dash top is cracked, that's at it. But apparently there's a place in the States to do a cover kit to completely remove that foam and thing, put it on. Apparently it's the same with the facelift Mark 1 as it is in the early Mark 2s, so we can replace that. No, no Andy, I'm not fitting the BMW 510. Different project. See on the back, it's back to that same theme of that even the bloody look, I can't believe how good the steelwork is on the back. It's this thing's obviously stayed in the dry somewhere for a couple of decades. Yeah, dash cover. Door, same again. It's got a bit of a bend on the end. Somebody's bent the end over, but it's nothing to be massaged back out. Yet again, no considerable, in fact nothing to be honest as far as the door hinge is concerned. Horrible floor repair. The inside is a bit of a mess, I must admit, but it's really, they got to the whole interior's got to be redone. But it does have all the plastic parts, covers for the A pillars, the covers for the the C-pillars and the covers in the back. We do have headlamps and a few other bits and pieces, albeit the plastic trims that headlamps are missing. Oh, actually, it's broken, sorry, but I've got some coming from the States, so we'll be okay on there. But realistically, as far as a base, I am super happy with this one. It's like, yeah, I've seen some Capris being repaired obviously on the Capri forum now, that were in way worse condition than this, and were, 15 years, nearly 20 years newer. So, yeah, it's kind of like, I can't believe how good the front of that bonnet is. Okay, it's got a dent, but we'll stud weld to that, pull it back out, and we'll massage that back in. If I can't get it perfect, then I know a man that can, so spend a couple of hours pulling those dents square. Neighbour's dog's out. But yeah, it's in really, really good condition. For, do you mind, I paid $1,500 for this thing. And that's like less than £1,000. And as far as a rolling shell, it's great. So the old 5.3 will go in there. I've still got a source of transmission, which is the awkward part. Get lots of automatics, but manuals over here are a bit rarity. It's got the truck style damper, which is too far forward, but you can get a damper that's 1.5 inches further back, and then it means you've got to place the alternator and the power steering and the thing behind the front end. That'll give me plenty of room at the front for radiator. You've got to move the radiator far forward, but that's not too much of an issue. Anyway, Trevor, there you go. There's the only decent Ford. Ooh, ouch. Okay, negative comments in the forum below, please. Yeah. So, full plan is, 6-speed manual, 400 plus horsepower. We'll get rid of the roll bar, set up at the front. We'll run reverse TCAs and compression struts, I think they call them. We'll run a separate roll bar that no longer has the front to rear ability for the wheels to move back. We'll technically create a lower wishbone. I want to run 17s, basically because I can get the right size tyres for it, and then we can run like a 255 front, and then run a sort of mini tubbed back, and we can get a 315 at the back. That puts the rolling diameter about 25.7. And I think the biggest normal tyre for these is 24, so we have gained a little bit of height there. Rear axle's not so bad because I can pretty much do the geometry there and dump the back wherever I want it. But I don't want to delete this lovely body line which goes down the car, so I don't want the arch to disappear into that. So we will see what we can do with the X Pack. Lower the car as much as we can, but I don't want it to look like it's too stupid. So I don't want it to go any taller than a 25.7. The fronts will be 25s, rears will be 25.7s. We also have to rejig the geometry on the front, because if you lower the car, obviously I've lifted the suspension up, now lowering the car so it's a little bit closer. You don't want the TCA, if you can imagine the angle of the TCA from pickup to wheel, if you go past horizontal, then any bump is going to create it's going to create a positive camber on the wheel. So you have to have the TCA as much as the front suspension on something like this. You have to have the TCA at a downward angle to the outside of the car. So basically, as you come up, you get some camber gain on bump. Not a lot, because it's a McPherson strut, but you'll get some. So we can camp the strut in a little bit. We'll do that. We'll put Group 4 struts on the front. Say reverse the TCAs out of side, make them adjustable, but also move that position. So we have to move the TCA pickup on the subframe. We may have to move that up to allow for the fact that we've altered the suspension and altered the body height. But I've already looked at the geometry setup for a McPherson, and so albeit it is different from the traditional style sort of double wishbone, it's easy enough to modify and get it correct, so I've not destroyed the car by lowering it. Sump on this one's in the right place, but I don't know if it's too deep or not. I'm probably going to try and find a back wing sump of an LS1 Corvette, which will allow us to sink it a little bit. But we're not going to go too silly or stupid. Just a 256 if I can find one. If we keep the live end, that'd be the simplest way, and just get a Camaro 256. That would probably be the most expensive part if I got to buy it new, but you can get a brand new one for about $4,000, which makes a $500 engine look sort of cheap, but the transmission unfortunately is the most sought after part for these kind of conversions, unfortunately, which I didn't know until I bought it and started looking for one, but hey ho. At least they're not like Porsche stuff, you know, they haven't gone up to 10,000 for a used one. You know, realistically I can get a brand spanking new for, I think it's $3,400, $3,500 US dollars. And that's Canadian, that's 4 something. So yes, so X Pack 5.3 V8. It's an aluminum V8. The weight of these, just for quick reference, the weight of this is about 405, 410 pounds, fully built. So that's inlet manifold, injectors, alternator, blah, blah, blah. The same for a 2.8 litre V6, roughly 300 to 365 pounds, depending on which model it is. Now, I think it's in the lower end, so we'll say 310. So this would be about 100 pounds heavier than a 2.8 for double the capacity, which sounds kind of crazy, but the LS motor is quite light in comparison. Just as a quick comparison, the K24 is 240 pounds. No, 265 pounds. So realistically, it's really light for the capacity size, and it's really light for the horsepower. So we're not adding too much weight. The T56 will be heavier, but that's a little bit further back. But yeah, the car's not particularly heavy. So anyway, yeah, that's the shell, Trev. And anybody else on the forum, I'll post the link onto the Capri North America. Yes, I'm going to do a Mark III conversion. I just like the shape of a Mark III. Nothing against the Mark II, but I just like that. That's the shape that I want at the front. I've already bought some Mark III lights. They're at Guy's place in the UK at the moment. I'll pick them up when I go over, whenever I'm allowed to. But yes, I've got a pretty good starting shell. Do have to finish the prototype beforehand. That's got to be done and painted next year, so I probably won't start on this one. I would guess in probably late 2022, maybe early 2023. I have a customer car to build on that end. So realistically, that's where that V10 is for. But yeah, but it doesn't stop me collecting the parts. Got the engine cheap, $500. Okay, there's no ancillaries on it, so I've got to spend a bit of money on it that way. But it's the aluminum block, which is the harder one to get hold of. And it's a Gen 4, it's not a Gen 3, it's actually a Gen 4, which has the 58 reluctor wheel, not the 24. It's basically a slightly stronger, slightly better engine. These boys are pulling like 700-800 horsepower turbos on these things, reliable to a point, but naturally has to be 400, 450 horsepower all day long. They'll last forever, so we'll rebuild it, but it's got the infrastructure I want. Yes, I'm babbling. Shit, 23 minutes, right, excuse me. Okay, there you go, Trev. That's the walk round of the Capri.